All right, hey, I'm back. Continuing this ballerina painting. I actually didn't intend to make the last one cut short. Something happened with my camera and it just cut off. I was almost done though. So this is to finish up this now three-part demonstration. So I'm gonna get right into it. More or less, I have finished it. It's just a matter of getting a few things finished off. So first off, I'm gonna kind of simplify the area up here with the brush and then go back in with a palette knife afterwards. There's something a little bit wonky with this hand. I think it's obviously it looks really bad actually right now, but I think it's just a matter of getting this shape right. You know, right now it looks like it's broken, but this knee under the dress kind of allows you to see the forearm muscles there, that whole group. And right here I've got this little errant, misplaced brush stroke that's kind of messing that up. So just kind of casually wipe off my brush. Mix up this dark reddish brown color. I don't talk about my color mixtures very much because it really doesn't matter. Even if you were copying my painting, which, you know, I mean, if you want to, that's fine. You know, just to learn, there's no formula for colors. It should just be what your painting happens to need. If I give you a formula, for example, of exactly how to paint this, first of all, it'd be impossible. I'd have to tell you on the molecular level how many molecules of red versus burnt sienna. And you see how that would be impossible and a little bit ridiculous. So, you know, anywhere that teaches you to paint by telling you exactly what colors to use, you might want to question that. I mean, sometimes I'll tell you just so you know, but it really is not important, because if you don't get that original quote formula exactly right the first time, then all other things are going to be off, and so it won't matter anyway. The principles of edges and values and just seeing the differences in things, those are far more important, because those are things you can actually control. Okay, I like that better. It is showing me in more certain terms what that arm is doing. Except I'm going to do it just a little bit more. That may be too much. Don't want to give her a Popeye arm. But I do want to show that there is muscle there. I'm going to mix up a little bit of this light blue to soften that. Sometimes softening an edge can fix it. You know, if it needs to be softened anyway, then you might as well soften it rather than trying to repaint it perfectly if you don't need it to be perfectly rendered anyway. Make this hand a little bit smaller. Just painting in the background color around it. De-emphasize the sharpness of these knuckles. Well, there's no getting around it. That's just a little bit of a weird looking arm. I mean, it is that way here too. Gonna bring in a little bit more light. here. Also, I've been looking at the back here, the really shiny part on the back of her dress. I kind of want it to stand out more. So I can do one of two things. I can either lighten it up, which I don't think there's a lot of room to go. So this part, you know, it's more or less the lightest part of the scene. I mean, besides the actual reflection from the windows, this is the only part on her that's reflecting the light the same way as that floor. So let me see real quick if I can go any lighter. And you know, that's, I mean, as I suspected, it just can't really go any lighter. So the only way to accomplish that same thing is to darken up what's around it. So I'm going to mix some of the brown with some of the black. Maybe a little yellow, more brown, warm it up a bit. We'll see. It's too dark, but you can see already how that makes this appear lighter already. Okay, I'm gonna fix that color. And this is what I mean about mixing color. You know, you just see, you try it out, see if it works, and if it doesn't, you just modify it based on what that color already is that's there. And maybe this is all it'll need. Just kind of subtly making that fade into darkness down there. Bring some of that over there too. I'm just really scrubbing it in. You know, I'm not going very thick. Yeah, that works. That makes it so much brighter without actually having to make it brighter. Colors, values, they're all about comparisons. You know, I've said that many times, so forgive me if I'm being repetitive. You know, the principles of art are pretty basic. There aren't a lot of them. And it's just a matter of kind of letting yourself learn to I don't know, let yourself try it. Let yourself try things that are hard. And that's how you learn. I just want to go really thick on this. In fact, I'm going to go even thicker. Just for fun. Honestly, just for fun. I mean, there's no real reason other than that I think it's cool. I mean, there's contrast, but there's already contrast. You know, giving this dark part next to that highlight and making the line between those be more stark, be sharper, is going to make this feel like it's more detailed without actually making it more detailed. Look at it from an angle. So you can see how thick it is there. It's not maybe as thick as I intended it to go. Let's see. A palette knife. And just really punch it. Palette knife, even though it's not necessarily thicker, when you do a bit of knife work, it makes it feel thicker. And it just is a little more interesting, I guess, to have more variety of texture. All right, and I've been debating about this area too. Do I want that to go thicker? I usually do on these ballerina pieces. And, well, at the risk of going too far, I'm going to go ahead and try it. I also want to simplify these colors back there. Maybe, I think if I just lighten that up. I'll think about it as I'm painting this. Okay, so just white and blue for now. Just kind of going for more of a thickness of paint rather than a change in the color much. obviously that is a little bit lighter than before, but I'll paint into it and change it as I go here. So again, my intention is just to make it thicker. Just make it more interesting to look at. As you can see, this part there is more or less a triangle, so I'm going to the light part, and the rest of it is in shade. I'm going to try to stick to that basic shape. A little bit more blue, and a little bit of alizarin crimson. Remember, that's permanent alizarin crimson, which is like a quinacridone pigment. You don't want to go with real alizarin crimson, which I think it's always good to remind ourselves of that. Never go with real alizarin crimson. You'll be sorry. Even the paint manufacturers themselves sometimes will come out and say, you know, don't use this. We make it because people buy it, but you shouldn't use it, which I think is funny. But I do appreciate their honesty. I don't remember which brands do that, but I remember reading it. Yeah, it's just fun to get variety in there. We'll bring this over into this a little bit, just so they're not disconnected, you know, entirely. My hand is shaking. Okay, I'm just sizing up what I want to do. Do I want to darken this down there, ground her more? And do I want to simplify that? Well, never know till you try it. So I'm going to try it. Don't bother to clean it because it doesn't really need to be cleaned. Got those colors in there already. Might as well put them in again. Does that help it? Use the brush now. Go a little lighter. Some of those same color combinations as before. Just this golden brown. And since I've already got this dark color down there, I don't have to go to mix this color on my brush as dark because it's going to mix on the canvas. Grab a little bit more from the palette. Okay, I think I want to go with some real thick stuff now down there. If this cuts out, I apologize. I don't know what it is with this. Maybe it has to do with the battery life on my iPhone. Maybe not. But basically, I shoot videos this way because my intention is not to be a world-class videographer of my paintings, but to get the painting done, and I find it enjoyable to share it with you guys. But you know, the faster I can get the painting done, the faster I can sell it and move on to more paintings. And that's the fun part. That's why I'm really doing this, is so I can just get paintings done. So, you know, when you're learning art, the most basic way is you learn about repetition. Well, this is not what it's talking about. This is not a good repetition. Having two exact same things right next to each other. But that's good repetition. You know, 1, 2, 3 lines that are unevenly spaced, uneven sizes, uneven shapes, but they kind of create this repetition. So I've got another one there, you know, yeah, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light. You know, this repeating thing going on there, but I have a little bit of a pet peeve about super basic art books, you know, that give you things like that, like, oh, you know, repeating lines, and it's a principle of art. Well, sure, but, you know, they don't give you the proper context sometimes. And that is probably exactly why I tend to have to be careful about how I say it, but I tend to shy away from and not recommend Bob Ross's style. And don't get me wrong, I love Bob Ross, and he shaped my childhood in a way, similar to how he did with many people. But you know, that is one of the downfalls. He's not perfect, and that repetition of brush strokes. Here, I'll show you what I'm doing. A repetition of brush strokes in some of his works. Well, I should say all of his works, and where they're just too repetitive. They're exactly the same brush stroke, just repeated like a. Repeated like a machine made it. You know, it's a lot less interesting. So I'm trying to vary the shape and style and color in some ways. Certainly the edges of these brush strokes, and it just makes it a little more interesting. Okay, I think I'm done with the dress, at least for now. This could go darker, but I'm going to leave it for now. Okay, this shoe needs a bit of a shadow under it. Don't want to go too dark. Actually, I'm going to go with a brush instead. So you can see how the shadow under there is darker than the shoe itself. But I like how this is just barely indicated, so I'm going to try not to lose that too much. Maybe I'll add a little bit of blue to that mixture. Soften that a little bit. Get rid of that white part there, soften that. Okay. It's always a good idea to stand back, not work too close too long. It's easy to get caught up in the details to the point that you forget what your ultimate goal is with the painting. Still thinking about that. You know, I really like the two together. But I think I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit there. So, let's see. Somewhere in between the blue and the brown is what I'm thinking to start with. That hardly changed it at all. I'll go ahead and soften that edge though. See how I like that. Do the same thing up here. I'm kind of just scumbling. Just dry brush across the top of all this. Grab more of that. Okay, now I'll just go for some straight white. Just kind of fix that shape, get rid of that outline there. I want it to look like a window reflection, but then again, not really. Like just really abstract. I'm using it as an opportunity to bring contrast into the piece. I don't want to be too blatantly obvious that it's just a reflection. I want it to literally stand out as an abstract shape. I liked it better before. Well, partly. There's some things I like about it better now, but I liked its haphazard application a little bit better before. So I'm gonna bring that back a little bit. Use it to delineate the shape of this slipper, the foot. I need to darken that. Okay, I like that. Just playing with texture now. Look at all these colors I have on here. I'm just kind of combining all of them. This is more or less just a blue and brown painting. Blue, brown, gray. I like that color harmony. All right. Maybe I'll do a few little things to the face, but not much. Then I think I'll call it. So as I finish this up, I'll just say thanks and appreciate you tuning in and watching my videos. Oops, sorry about that. Paying too much attention to what I'm actually doing. I appreciate all the comments from those of you who have commented. It's nice to hear kind words. I'm mixing up just a dark skin color. I'm taking my best guess at it. And then I'll only know once it's up there if it's correct or not. Yeah, could be a little redder. I've gotten pretty good at guessing over the years, but it's still just a guess. I really don't know what color I'm going to have until I get it on the canvas. Trying to give her cheekbone a little bit more form there. Maybe I'll bring that over here just a little bit. All right, well, a painting is never truly done until it's out of my hands and I can't change it. But having said that, and therefore giving myself the option of changing it a little bit before it goes out the door, I'm satisfied with it, more than satisfied. I'm really happy with it. If I were to change anything, I might do a little bit more on the face, although this is that point where if I do anything to it, I risk ruining it. And I actually like how loose it is. But the other thing is just this part. I might darken just that little part there. And, but I also really enjoy right now how I can see through that down to the underpainting colors. So for now I'm going to leave it. So I will sign it. And this is probably the only part that sorry, can't do this one-handed. Opening up my jar that's stuck together. Excuse me for a second. All right, so this is my mixture of Gamsol and linseed oil. And I choose a color for my signature based on the color of the painting, but something that'll stand out. And I usually prefer something that's basically black. This happens to be like a brownish black, but it's got blue mixed in. It doesn't really matter. The thing is, I don't want it to stand out too much. And the reason I use medium here, not like the stuff with the oil, not just my Gamsol, is because I want it to be nice and thin. But if I go with just the Gamsol, there's not enough binder in there to make it permanently stay on the canvas. So T. Gudmundsen. All right. That's one I practiced back in high school, and it's sort of stuck. So my signature, it looks like it could almost be part of the painting, just calligraphy type of marks there. So I don't want to stand out too much, and I don't want to be too legible, because in my mind, the way I do it, it would stand out too much. So there's my signature, there's my finished painting, 24 by 24 on just stretched canvas. Again, not my typical ground, but I wanted to go for it. So next time, I might, who knows what I'll do next time, but I've been thinking about this one. It's just one that I painted the other way once, and I didn't like it, so I scraped it, turned it upside down, tried to paint another thing, scraped it, and ended up just having fun experimenting with abstract shapes. So at this point, I'd like to actually add a figure in there and keep some of that there. So we'll see what happens there. All right. Well, again, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it very much, and see you next time. Bye.